for black girl nerds.
All right, Ellen, I'll start with you. I'm curious, what's the feedback that you've been getting playing Vanya? Because especially in the time period we're in, she's very much a woman that's figured out the powerless always don't have somebody to come and rescue them. You have to make that decision to fight for yourself and to stand up because the world sometimes takes advantage of that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think where we see Vanya in the first season, she's really struggling. She has a lot of trauma. She's been really mistreated by her father and the siblings. And then, I think Vanya is very resilient. She releases a lot of energy at the end of the first season and repressed anger and trauma. And where we find her in the second season, she's come into her own more. She's more comfortable in her body, connected to her emotions. And I think we see that she in this season really learns to harness her powers, to find her voice, and be able to really start to live her life on her own terms.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Emmy, my question is for you. So in this season, you're kind of caught up in the civil rights movement. So totally different lifestyle than what you had in season one. What was that like for you, especially considering our current state of affairs? What was that like for you?
Yeah, I think, I think I was so, honored, but also really nervous to kind of take on something as important and as big as the civil rights movement. But I also wanted to make sure that we did it with correctly and respectfully and that, it was properly researched and understood because, this civil rights movement was during our parents' and our grandparents' lifetime. And, Ruby Bridges, who was the first Black child to integrate an all-white school, is 65. So it's like the civil rights movement was not that long ago. And I think a lot of it feels like, oh, it was in the past and that fight has been fought and we, we're not dealing with those struggles anymore. But I think in the wake of George Floyd and in the wake in this Black Lives Matter movement that has now become a global movement, which is so encouraging, I think it's exciting that this show is giving the civil rights a platform to be on millions and millions and millions of TV screens all over the world to hopefully shed light that that fight is nowhere near over, and that fight has been happening for not just in the 60s, it's been happening for 400 years in this country, and the fight for injustice and the fight for equality is something that is so important. It is so life or death, and I think I think people are going to watch this season and watch the show and get a ton of entertainment, but I also hope that they take away the important messages and the important struggles and the importance of ending systemic racism and injustice towards the LGBTQ community and just every marginalized group.
Absolutely. And you played it beautifully. Tom, I want to kind of end off with you and kind of shift a little bit. First of all, how many eggs did you actually eat? Because there was a lot going on. And were you channeling Rocky? Because I saw a scene now, if you put two Rockies together, it would have been Luther. But I'm just saying, I just saw a chat. You were in the jogging suit. I'm just saying, the jogging suit and everything.
Oh yeah, there's a big Rocky influence there. I mean, Steve Blackman he's the king of using influences from other movies. There's a bit of Snatch in there as well. But yeah, the Rocky moment was a big one. I'm a huge Rocky fan. That was Stallone's a big inspiration to me. So doing that jogging scene, especially when we did those shots at dawn when I'm jogging along, yeah, that was great. To the egg question, a shit ton. It was like ridiculous amount of eggs. I mean, I can eat a lot of eggs, right? But they made a lot of them. They kept them coming as well because I was eating them in the scene because I was like,
you were going in on the scene.
Yeah, I mean, I love my eggs, so I was like, you know what I did? I purposefully didn't eat breakfast that morning, so it was already like I think it was like midday, 1 o'clock. So for me, I was like, I'm pretty hungry now. So I thought, give me those eggs. So as soon as I started, even on the wide shots, I was like, yeah, I'll eat it.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much.
Oh,
Thank
you,
you.
ladies.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Better shake your booties for black girl nerves. Better shake your booties for black girl nerves.